Hey, what's up? I was I spent a lot of time thinking how would I go about um explaining the idea that I'm enlightenment. I know like I've already tried a little bit of that. I've been kind of met with criticism and questions, but I kind of had this casual idea rather than explaining what I think the definition of enlightenment is or finding it. The best way to go about it is to just explain my journey of it, enlightenment, and just kind of let the context uh, guide the listener to what I'm actually trying to communicate. All right. So here it goes. Basically, there's I'm gonna there's like three, we'll call them, I'll say three acts for my journey. Three acts. I'll say act one was pseudo enlightenment. Act two was pre enlightenment. Act three was actual enlightenment. Um, so I'll start with act one, pseudo enlightenment. So basically, for the I started off actually seeking enlightenment itself. Um, I I wanted to be enlightened. Um, so what I did was I followed a lot of people who already were enlightened and that I thought were actually enlightened. Um, the two that I followed the most um, were called Oshu and Sanguru. I watch a lot of videos about them, and I actually bought some of their books. Read a little bit of the books. I'm mostly watching videos about them. Um, so um, at During the time, I was also doing something regularly called breath work. Breath work is for it's the goal of breath work is to heal um, body, mind, and soul. Um, but also, there's a lot of different things that happen, like visual hallucinations, sensations, different emotions, anger. You're letting anger out, and also like um, there could be a little bit of pain in the palms when they because the palms will sometimes clamp, and that'll create a strange sensation, kind of a little bit uncomfortable. That could be the worst part about it. Everything else is about it is kind of an upside. Um, so that's breath work. And then like during one of my many breath work sessions, of course, like whenever I did breath work, things will happen. A lot of stuff will happen to other people doing it, but not so much happens with me until one particular day where I did breath work and I kind of felt a little bit high, but it was a high that felt more natural and healthier than being high off weed. Kind of I was laughing, I was grateful, um I was accepting of whatever I felt. Um I was what I was laughing at. I was laughing at the amount of effort that I put into trying to be enlightened at first. Um, and that kind of matches the way Oshu became enlightened, because when he was enlightened, he was also laughing at the fact that he was trying to be enlightened. So there was a lot of similarities to that and Oshu's enlightenment. And after that, I fully stopped seeking enlightenment. But I kept watching what Oshu and Sanguru. I kept consuming content about enlightenment, but not for enlightenment. I did it because of the wisdom. So I wasn't seeking enlightenment. I said I was seeking wisdom at the time. That was after the whole. That was after that breathwork session. Um, I also talked about it with the breathwork instructor, and he basically told me not to. It's a transformation that doesn't necessarily need to be labeled as anything. Um, it doesn't need to be labeled as enlightenment or anything else. It's just a transformation. Basically, that's what I got from him. Okay. So that basically went on for a few months. And then started to realize that even though I wasn't necessarily seeking enlightenment, um, I was put down by the idea that I wasn't already enlightened. So I was kind of confused. If I'm put down by not being enlightened, then why um, I was basically if I didn't want enlightenment, then why was I put down by not being enlightened? And there was I did a lot of self exploration, is asking myself a lot of questions around that, and basically um, I just kind of realized that I was in this strange stage uh, of not being sure if I was or not. So what happened next was I started watching a film that I already own. It's called Becoming Nobody, and it's a movie about Ramdas, and he's already passed, and it's a movie about I think it highlights his critical lessons throughout his journey. And one of the things that stood out the most to me was when he said the mission. He said something like, "The mission wasn't to be high; the mission was to be free." So I I thought a lot about that, and then after watching it maybe uh, two or three times, I decided to just take a walk. Um, so I was one of the things that I was thinking about was how do I use freedom to get to if I wasn't already enlightened, how do I use freedom to get to enlightenment? Maybe I was thinking about that. And then during my walk, um, I passed. I was perpendicular, walking perpendicular to a attractive girl, and all the only thing I said was hi, and then I just kept going my way. So along with thinking about freedom, I was also thinking about the fact that I didn't have a longer conversation with that girl, And I was thinking about like um, I was mad that I told myself that I was afraid, and I was mad that I might have been afraid. And then I said, what if it was okay if I was afraid? So basically, after saying that, that created like that created like a soothing, graceful, peaceful energy that just went through my soul. And I realized it felt so good to say that, because I mostly said something like it's not okay to be afraid. I have to be I have to be brave. I said that I mostly said that I have to face my fear. And that's why it felt so good and so relieving. Um, and then I said, uh, I used that in other ways. I said, what if it was okay to be bad? Because in my head, I always told myself I should never be bad. So that felt freeing. I said, what if it was okay to be stupid? Because like I, um, I met someone in my classroom, and we had a few conflicts, and he was quite the intellectual himself, and I think I heard him talk to someone else about someone being stupid, and it could have been me, and I thought it was me, and I just um, and it made me think of strategies to not feel stupid. Um, but when I asked myself whether it was okay to be stupid, that felt relieving. I didn't have to do that anymore. I didn't have to um, think of ways that I'm not stupid. So I just felt freeing as well. And I did other things like, what if it was okay with the fact that I don't interact with my family that much? What if that was okay? And that felt good. It's a little back and forth with that, but it felt a little bit good. But there's a little bit more to that, and other things. Um, it was kind of a method that I took on, and I called it. There's already a video about it. I called it a universal basic enlightenment. Um, I'm kind of I'm kind of leaning a little bit right, so I don't know how I feel about universal basic income anymore. Um, but Now I don't call it universal basic enlightenment. Now I call it pre enlightenment. Um, okay. After that, I created a video about enlightenment and death, but I don't want to get into that. Um, and then there's another video that I created, official enlightenment, but I'm going to go into more detail. Okay. So what inspired um, that was basically, um, I typed in onto YouTube I am enlightenment, and I found a few videos. Um, one was by Rupert Spira, and it's a video where he, being enlightened himself, um, was answering someone else's questions about why they were not enlightened. And I have some notes on my phone about how that interaction went. Basically, he started off saying enlightenment is not an event. And the analogy that he used to tried to explain that was telling her, um, putting her in a situation. Basically, say she's watching TV and someone tells her to look at the screen. So basically, you're watching just shows stuff. Maybe you're changing the channel. Maybe you're involved in a show, and then someone comes along and tells you to look at the TV screen. Uh, so and basically, the thing to realize is that the seeing the screen for what it is, it represents enlightenment, and said enlightenment is not something new. He also said we can say the screen was overlooked. So he's basically saying you already have the enlightenment, but you're overlooking it. And that's how I understood his way of seeing enlightenment. And and for a period of time, I thought, okay, so this is enlightenment. Okay, all right, but it inspired me to kind of think about it in other ways. I hmm, I was kind of seeing it I was trying to get to enlightenment by seeing it his way, and then I started to drift into my own way of thinking about it. It's kind of like I kind of like ended up going in my own radical path, and I tried to see it in multiple different ways. And I knew I could kind of do this because the person called Ramdas already said that there are different ways of enlightenment. So I started to go my own way, and kind of explore different ways of seeing enlightenment. And I put down watching. I put down in my own notes. Watching is letting everything be. So this is when I started going my own way, saying this to myself. Watching is letting everything be. Um, so basically, I'm just watching the images um, on the screen, and I'm not even though I'm not looking for the screen, I'm just watching the images coming off the screen, and I'm just letting those images be. Um, so I'll put it like that. And then I finally said to myself, everything is okay. And when I did this, I started something started happening. Um, I started kind of realizing that everything was okay, and it started to have that realizing along with an unusual feeling. And I started trying to like I repeatedly said everything was okay in order to capture um this realizational feeling in a permanent way. Because when I kept saying it and I kept realizing it, but I noticed that sometimes I'll say it and I won't realize it. So the feeling was coming and it was going. It was sometimes I couldn't access it, sometimes I could access it. And I was chasing it to see if I could have permanently access it. Um, so I kept saying everything is okay. Um, for a period of hours, I already knew I wanted to go to I think it was a Friday night, and I wanted to go to uh, the bars downtown. So I kept saying it all the way till I got to the bus. Now, it's kind of hard to put all this into words because even though I was saying everything was okay, I might, when you say everything is okay, nothing might happen for you. So, but something was happening for me. Um, and it could be a particular way I was saying it. It could be a particular way I'm trying to see it, a particular way I'm trying to focus my mind into reaching a realization when I say everything is okay. Um, Basically, it's, I already said this in one video, but it's everything. It's kind of an agile thing that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be agile in a way because I know that not everything is actually okay. But but when I say one thing is okay and I can say another thing is okay, I might get to something that I might say is not okay. But here's the thing, when you say something is not okay, it is okay that you said it's not okay. So, hmm, when you say it enough, you sort of realize that it's inescapable. You can try to escape, you can try to figure a way where things are not okay, but you will lose because every if it's not okay, it's still an item, and that item in itself is okay. So you may say depression is not okay, but the fact that you think that is okay, and whatever else you think feel is also okay. So you have to think about it from that inescapable sense that it's surrounding always. Okay. So when I got to the bus, what I found was I wasn't able to access it anymore. And so I started to maybe think about it from a different angle. So like it's because I I wanted to keep knowing that everything was okay, but I saw that I was not okay with not knowing that everything was okay. When I started to become okay with not knowing that everything was okay, then that created a sort of kind of a lock on. So kind of this was the most unique, the most interesting period of time. Um, I A lot of things happen in a short period of time. Um, it was the biggest kind of feeling. It was kind of like being transported into another dimension. Um, my final word after that experience, for whatever reason, it came up was the word immortal. And then after that, all that I needed to do was search for that realization, and it would always come up. I would always find it. It will. So I would always ask. I would always inquire if I was uncertain, and it would always come up. Now, that when I said in the word immortal, that was the point where I realized I was officially enlightened. Even though I've heard of the word enlightenment, and I just said to myself, these are probably the people that were enlightened were the people that felt very certain that they reached a point in their lives. And I felt like I was at that point. Now, that's not all that there was to it. I'd say that there are three phases um, of actual enlightenment. Um, the caterpillar phase, caterpillar phase, which is the phase that I just entered, and then there's the cocoon phase, which took a week or so, and then there was the butterfly phase, which took maybe a month to get to. Um, so with the caterpillar phase, I was a lot of times uncertain, so I would inquire a lot, and I would always reach that, and it would never leave me. It would never go away. I would always know. Um, and then I reached the cocoon stage um, phase, um, where I was more certain, so I didn't have to inquire that much. Um, I didn't have to realize it, so I didn't have to feel enlightened most of the time. It was rare that I inquired. Um, and then I finally reached the butterfly phase, which where I'm at right now. So I asked for one last time. I think it was a few days ago. And then something clicked to where I the realization is always present. I'm always there. Um, there was also something called the Enlightenment Boost, which started the second day of the caterpillar phase. Um, it was a boost, um, like the feeling was kind of like creating like energy throughout my body, and then my eyes would feel awesome, um, better than ever. Um, and I felt like energy was coming out of my eyes. And maybe I felt maybe slightly more confident. But it would last for like 30 minutes to 2 hours. Um, the more that I would space out and be kind of an introvert, the more it would flee. And I would only have to reactivate it. Um, I don't think I'm going to be able to give the idea of how it kind of activates. I know that I say it is okay, so it's not an inquiry. I just feel as if I'm staring into a kind of like a kind of a abyss, and I say it's okay, and then the boost will arise, and so I could trigger this boost during the caterpillar phase and the cocoon phase. But when I got to the butterfly phase, it wasn't necessary. I wasn't able to say because I knew that I was already okay. I And now if I say it, nothing really happens because I'm already constantly realizing it. Um, and so this explains my journey. This is where I'm at right now, and I hope I haven't put too much. I'm at 30 minutes of filming. I think there's some kind of a limit. I hope this length is acceptable for YouTube. Um, I put some references uh, down below in the description. Um, and yeah, uh, I hope that this explaining it this way was better than having to describe what I think enlightenment is, because there's so much context in doing it like this. Thanks for sticking around so far, and if you have any questions, just ask, and I might be able to give a little bit more detail uh, if you're curious about a specific phase. Um, yeah, take it easy.